Welcome back to Fearox Frank Reviews. It's time to go back to hell and raise it once again from the grave. That's right, folks. It's time for me to look at the Hellraiser franchise once again. It's been, wow, it's actually been a long time since I even did one of these movies. In fact, I actually did the worst film, one of the worst films of the franchise. Yeah, the last one that was in theaters. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So what's today's film? Well, ironically enough, it's time for me to do another bad Hellraiser film. Can you guess what it is? Let's go right here in the subtitle form. Now, which Hellraiser is it? Go. I already did that one. I mean, that was literally the first film I did. What? No, that's a. Okay, I understand that's not that great, but come on, it's actually not that bad. Um, okay, that's I'm never gonna do that one because that's not part of this franchise. Okay, plus I don't have that. Why would I have that or that one for that matter? Seriously, I mean this one's. I heard it's even worse. I haven't even seen this one, and it's already bad. I know it's bad. Come on, come on, try again. What? Really? That's that's not even a Hellraiser movie. I mean, come on. Okay, granted, it has the title name in it though, but and honestly, I could probably like fix it up. I mean, if I had a chance to edit the movie and actually do a ton of reshoots, I probably would. And I could probably make it a way better movie. Who the hell am I kidding? That movie, this thing can't be salvaged. All right. So, okay, try it again. Okay, try it again. All right. Worst Hellraiser film released straight to video here in the U.S. The hell's wrong with you? For God's sake, I'm doing Hellraiser 5 Inferno. Jesus Christ. Really? Okay, let's clarify real quick, all right? The first Hellraiser film was arguably a real huge hit at the box office, and so was the sequel, which came out the following year. Yes, both these movies were brother and sister movies, all right? They're both great horror films, all right? Although supposedly the second one, there's actually a director's cut version that actually has a lot more, you know, nastier shit in it. But then again, the second movie was released in the late '80s, so there was a lot of censoring going on going on back then. Especially the first movie had a lot of censored stuff too, because just a lot of people did not actually care for gore back then. I mean, nowadays, just look at the fucking Saw franchise. I mean, Jesus. Now, the third film came out back in the '90s, and it was kind of '90s ish. Then there was the fourth and final film that was released in theaters, and it wasn't really that good. In fact, it wasn't so. In fact, oh boy, the director hated the movie so much he actually put his name as Alan Smitty. So that being said, what about the next film? The next film I'm in the franchise is the one I'm doing today, and every other film went straight to video. Supposedly, some of them actually got released in certain theaters, but over in Europe for a while, and then they got home releases later on. Right, and believe me, there's like a lot. There's like a huge, massive story behind all that. So, and that's actually a story for possibly another day. But today I'm going to look at the first film that was released straight to video. And here's the thing, too: the other two, like the other three films that you guys, I said I was never going to do for obvious reasons. These are the ones. Those are the ones that don't have Doug Bradley as Pinhead. So those are the lesser pieces of crap. All right, they're garbage. All right. So I'm going to look at the first film that went straight to DVD. Or, I'm sorry, straight to video at this point, because it was also Actually, I don't think I've ever seen a VHS copy of this thing. Actually, who the hell am I kidding? I did remember there was a VHS copy of this movie at one point, but it's actually kind of rare, and most of it just wound up on DVD eventually. So, we're going to take a look at Hellraiser 5 Inferno. Let's begin. The movie, here's the synopsis on the back of the film. Okay, here on the back of the six DVD collection, the six film collection. Here's the synopsis for the movie: a detective solves the puzzle box that releases the demonic demon Pinhead. As those around him begin to meet tragic fates, he sets out to conquer the horrifying villain. That is arguably the worst description I've ever heard. So, anyway, the movie is about a detective named Detective Horn, Joseph Horn, and okay, before we go any further, I'm gonna admit this. It's been a long while since I've seen this movie, so I decided to watch it again for the sake of this review. And not gonna lie, all right, I still don't like this movie that much, but the actor playing the detective character, I kind of like him. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's actually a pretty good actor. How good is this guy? Oh, he's a pretty decent actor, and ironically, one of the last films I saw this guy in was actually when he fights Steven Seagal and actually kicks Seagal's ass, and that was back in 2016. Yeah, one of those type of movies. And the way that movie played out, it felt like they were trying to set up the fact that maybe that Seagal's character wasn't even real at all, and that maybe it was all in the guy's head or something. But it's a pretty interesting movie. I'd say you guys give it a watch. I mean, I would tell you to watch the movie, but that's not the movie I'm going to review. And unfortunately, I don't know the name of the movie off the top of my head at the moment. So, oh wait, I got my phone right here. Nah, that's not a good idea. So anyway, the movie actually begins with a detective playing chess with a professor at college. We get a little bit of a background on Joseph Horn that he's actually a very intelligent detective, that he likes to solve puzzles all the time, and he's very intellectual, give or take. So he gets called out to a murder scene, which is a gruesome, horrific, ritualistic murder, which is probably something you would normally see if you know this franchise pretty well. So Joseph actually finds the puzzle box itself, but it's being used as a candlestick. It's actually underneath a candlestick, and inside the candlestick is a human finger. And to make it more disturbing, it looks more like a child's finger. That's very disturbing. All right. The one thing you gotta like about the Hellraiser franchise, it doesn't shy away from disturbing horror. All right, that's actually one thing that the franchise has that keeps it going. As far as the horror department goes, oh yeah. So he sets out to and ironically, he actually knows the victim too. He actually went to high school with the guy, but that was many years ago, and he bullied the shit out of him. Yeah, and so he takes all the stuff to evidence, and he goes to the victim's wallet and takes out $300. Yeah, kind kind of forgot to mention the guy's a crooked cop. Yeah, basically he'll do any. Basically, he has a bit of a drug habit. He has a bit of a drug habit. He's a crooked. He tends to bend all the rules all around, and he's and he acts kind of like an asshole. And I really gotta give it to the actor this time around. All right, the actor. Oh, it's a Craig Schiffer. He's actually good. Seriously, Craig. He's arguably one of the reasons why I would even bother to watch this movie even again, because his performance is spot on. I'm not a fan of this movie, but his performance, okay, he's a pretty decent actor. I'll give him that much. So what does he do? Well, he gives all the paperwork to his partner, to his chief and the partner, and he has forensics try to actually look up to actually scan the box fingerprints. They already got fingerprints. Now they're going through the system, and so he's deciding to. Oh, let's see. I got some money. Well, the victim just gave me some money. I'm going to go get laid. I should also mention he's also married with a daughter, and he pretty much cheats on his wife. He pretty much cheats on his wife with a hooker. Yeah, yeah. He spends the night with a call girl, does a little coke, boinks the girl, Yeah, I'm not gonna go full on the detail on that one. He does a couple of magic tricks to impress her. After they're done doing the nasty, he goes to the bathroom with the puzzle box and opens it. Not a good idea. So he finds himself in a weird, nightmarish little world here, and we see the first two Cenobites in this movie. And here's a problem with this film series: pretty much after three, the continuity of the Cenobites is all kinds of fucked up. I mean, we keep getting the same Cenobites from either the previous movie or just different Cenobites, depending on which crew was actually working on it at the time. Either way, we get two twin dominatrix style Cenobites who are sexually pleasured ones. How sexually pleasured are they? They go right in the guy's skin like this and just pleasure him right through his skin, amongst all things. And he's really into that shit. Oh dear, that's some really fucked up shit. Honestly, there's some people into that crap, which makes it even more fucked up. I'm not gonna. I don't know anybody part of it, but I know for a fact there are people that are kind of sexually charged by that, and it's really disturbing. And let's just move on from that. And we see a half Cenobite, like it's just a torso, and it's like a semi chatterer. Yeah. In the first two movies, there was actually a known Cenobite that was actually a fan favorite who actually came back in who actually came back in 7 and 8. So, all right, that Cenobite was called the Chatterer, and he was like this, like that, with his mouth all the way wired open, his eyes was wired shut, and basically he's called the Chatterer because he goes just chatters all the time. All right. Apparently, that thing was actually Chatterer's pet at one point, and supposedly after Chatterer's death in the second movie, and I don't know how the fuck he came back in the how the fuck he came back in 7 and 8, which is like it's never explained. And spoiler, he died in part two, but he's back in 7 and 8, which doesn't make any sense. So continuity, what's that? No, seriously, what is that? Because most of these horror films have problems with that. I mean, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, except when it came out to the Dream trilogy, that's when the continuity got all screwed up. At least the continuity was semi coherent, but after two, it was all screwed up. I mean, even like Freddy's Dead was all fucked up. Even more so, they kind of try to like play off Dead as a joke. So the Halloween series, less to say about that, the better. Okay, so let's move on back to Hellraiser. So this guy, he gets a little freaked out. He tries to go to the door, and who's at the door? It's our favorite. It's our favorite priest, the Hell Priest himself, Pinhead, and he basically does something to him, and the guy wakes up. And folks, get used to that. Get used to those 10 seconds of Pinhead, because that's the only time you'll see Pinhead until we have less than 20 minutes in the movie. I'm not kidding. Seriously, this movie is like about an hour and 40 minutes, give or take. And like seriously, like, and 5 minutes out of the 40 was actually that of the end credits. So it's like 15 minutes before the end credits show up. That's when we don't see Pinhead again. Yeah. I really wish I was making that part up. But Pinhead takes that long to come back to the movie. Ugh. Wow. That's a big problem. How's it called a Hellraiser film and Pinhead's not even going to be in it in the most of the film? You know what? I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The next morning he goes. The next morning he just gets right up, goes right to work. Actually tips the hooker, and when he gets to work, he gets a disturbing call. That call being the hooker is being murdered. So he and his partner, so he and his partner go all the way out there, and he goes in first, and she's hanged in the bathroom, like literally hanged in the shower, and she's pretty much like all stabbed up and everything. He's freaking out, so has his partner come right in, and he's freaked out the fact that he was with the girl last night. So what do they do? He says, "Okay, we're gonna call it in, but we have to wipe all the places I've touched around here. Okay, so I have my fingerprints all over this place, so we gotta wipe everything out." They wipe everything out, but this guy, he does the biggest dick move ever. He takes his partner's pen that his wife gave him for his anniversary. The partner's wife gave him a pen for his anniversary, and as the last pack of cigarettes with his fingerprints on it. He leaves it in the room. He's not worried about his fingerprints on it though, because his partner's fingerprints are all over it too. Too. So if anything goes wrong, he can just then all of it goes right back to the partner. Kind of a real dick move. But what's even more crazy is a finger was left at the crime scene. They noticed when they were in the bathroom, the detective noticed there was a young child's finger there, and that's what's freaking him out. Oh, that's not good at all, now is it? No, so they had to call them regardless. Yep. So they called in. Forensics gets out there, and they don't know anything about it. All right, and the detective's doing some actual detective work, actually looking for who owned the puzzle box or who owned some of the stuff or the drugs. And his investigation leads him to look for somebody called the engineer. It's a battery for my camera. I gotta charge it up later. The engineer. I wonder who the engineer could be. Anyways, so he continues on. He actually goes to a snitch, and he kind of abuses his snitch. Just beats the crap out of the guy a little bit though. And he and his partner go out for lunch, discussing what the game plan is about what happened. He tells him what he did with the pen and the smokes, and he says there's a liable explanation I can come up with. Okay, so don't worry about it. So, all right, they ask about it, just let me talk. All right, I have 10 years more experience. I've been on the force for 10 years. You've only been on for about 2 years as a detective. Don't trust me. Got it. And then somebody gives him a tape. His partner leaves the room to go to actually go and get some air. So he actually puts a videotape inside the VCR, inside of a pizza place, amongst all things, and he plays the video. And it's a snitch getting tortured to death, or I should say, whipped to death, with spikes at the end of it, by this faceless guy. This pale head, no face, just a mouth, like Chatterer. I should say not like Chatterer, because I don't know how the fuck the guy's seeing how the actor was able to see out of the whole mask. Basically shows the dead body and shows there's a child's finger inside the register. So they go out there. So he takes the tape over to the forensics, and the tape is completely wiped clean. They don't know what the hell was even on it. So, all right, so they go straight to the crime scene. It's as gruesome as the tape described it. And he said, "Look, detective, we couldn't find the finger anywhere. It's in the fucking register." He opens the register. It's right there. And they're like, "What the fuck?" Because I saw it on the fucking tape, you idiots. God. Yeah, this is not looking good for the detective at all whatsoever. Yeah. So some people are actually thinking that he may be a little crazy. But however, the detective is more hell bent. Yes, he's trying to bend the rules, but he's doing it for a good reason. He's trying to find the killer. Exactly. But there's two people at play here. There's the engineer himself, who's responsible for the crimes, yes, but there's also the henchman, known as the killer. The faceless guy, that's our killer. Who I'm going to just call Killer from this point on. Yes. Oh, we have three players on the board here. We have the detective looking for the killer, who works for the engineer. So so he goes around trying to get some more information about the engineer, and unfortunately, the engineer is playing a game with him. A game of hellish proportion. I should also mention every once in a while we see the sensual twins and the Chatterer creature every once in a while, though, but they just come and go as they please. It's like, oh, it's a 2 second cameo. It's like, hey, we're filming a Hellraiser film. It's like, oh, right. I keep forgetting this is a Hellraiser movie. That's like, okay. Especially when you're like in the dark corner or something. It's like, okay, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready. Oh, those two leather-bound creatures, humanoid creature demons, and it's that torso thing that's shattering. Right. I keep forgetting I'm in a Hellraiser movie. Hey! This movie wasn't really meant to be a Hellraiser movie. Maybe it wasn't meant to be a Hellraiser movie. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into it. Anyways, the detective continues onwards, and he's starting to freak out a little bit though. So the chief tells him, "Hey, go see a doctor, or go see yeah, that professor at the university you're friends with, or go see him." And he lays on a bit more, and he finds out there's some information about the engineer that somebody actually wrote a thesis on. But unfortunately, the student never turned it in or something because he was afraid if the engineer found out. So the doctor has been looking for the engineer, but he's also been looking for the Hellraiser puzzle box. Yes, the puzzle box in the franchise, the Lamont configuration. He's been looking for it for many years, and the detective's like, "Oh wait, you mean this thing? Okay, question, detective. Why the fuck do you still have that thing? What the hell's wrong with you? Honestly." The detective is basically just trying his best, trying to keep his mind sane. But this whole thing is just going completely going bonkers. He gets tipped. Oh wait, maybe there's a card game or something I should go to or something. Okay, there's an underground card game I should go to. I go over there, and there's actually a cowboy there. There's a couple of people over there too that beat the shit out of him. And the killer scene there that runs away. He goes up to the killer. Oh, and they had these two cowpoke guys literally kung fu the shit out of him. I say kung fu, but then again, it's 2000, so the Matrix was released a year prior. Everybody was trying to was trying to do kung fu around that point in time in movies. So sure, whatever. Kung fu cowboys. I should probably do Shanghai Night sooner or later. I should probably do Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Night sooner or later if I had those movies. But anyway, the detective actually. Anyway, his partner comes right by to pick him up, and he's like, "Dude, I got to take you home." So he says, just drop. No, I don't want to go to the hospital. Just take me home. So he stays home with his wife and daughter, and he has a bit of a nut. And he gets a call that the engineer is with his family, with his mommy and daddy at a nursing home. So he heads straight to the nursing home, and they're not, and they're starting to be a little bit more delusional. And he's seeing some nightmarish images coming from two patients. Doesn't make any sense. He goes right through the bathroom door. He keeps going right back into the same house. He keeps ending up in this old house. He doesn't know where the. And here's the thing: this house is actually his old home. Supposedly, it's a little weird. But the door slams shut behind him, and he hears his mother screaming that she's being ripped to pieces in the background. And he wakes up. Oh, it was a dream. Hello, honey. It was your man. Honey, it's your mother. She's being entertaining some guy called the engineer. Fuck! Goes all the way over there. And, well, the orderly tells him that they're missing. Yeah, they're gone. Like there's no trace of them. Goes right to his father's bed, and I gotta admit, this effect is This is actually sort of a stylized effect. It's Well, I would say it's less gory, but it is bloody. It's an all white sheet bed, and he pushes down the sheet, and there's blood coming out of it. So he removes the top sheet, and there's the whole bed's covered in blood, indicating that we heard over the phone actually happened. And we heard in this dream actually happened. Yeah. So it's clear, and of course he sees a box, and there's two extra fingers in there. Oh dear God! Oh shit! That's not good. That's not good at all. Yeah. So the detective is actually enraged that his parents are dead, so he's going after the engineer. His partner tries to give, but he gets a piece of information, a piece of paper with the fingers that has an address on it. So he goes straight to that address, but his partner tries to stop him. But he tells, and here's the thing: his partner and the other detectives think that he actually may be known something a little bit more to it, that he's actually being questioned by he's going to be questioned by IA, but he tells his partner to go away or something, that he needs to do this. So he heads over to the apartment to the address. It's an apartment, a vacant apartment with a scope. What's in the scope? Opens the window, looks in the scope. It's his partner being killed by the fucking killer. Okay, wait a second. How the fuck did that happen? Last time we saw the partner, he was at the nursing home. I mean, what? Was the killer hiding out in the bushes or something as the detective left? Get in the car. And he just goes up there and stabs him in the back. Okay, seriously, how the fuck did that work? Seriously, I mean, time wise and continuity, that doesn't make any sense. How the fuck did that happen? Oh, yeah. So yeah, and the killer, he does this little grinning smile thing when he has this no face, just all this mouth smiles, and just gives the and gives puts another finger in in his partner's mouth. Yeah. Hmm. Anyway, the engineer actually calls the guy up by the phone that's actually in the apartment. So he answers it. The engineer tells him to go home. The guy's freaking out, Detective Thorne heads straight home, and his wife and daughter are both missing. He goes down to the living room. They're both right there, chained up by one of those wooden pillars from Hellraiser 2 and 1, which we haven't seen in what 2 years, which is like what we haven't seen them since the 80s. We skipped over the 90s without them. Interesting. So they're just tied up on the thing, chained up, and the professor comes out. It's like, you know, and it's like, the fuck, professor, you're the engineer. Well, I told you to go home. You went to the wrong home. The hell are you talking about? This is my home. Sweetie, it's okay. Daddy's here. That grabs the door's hand. It comes right off. Yeah, and they just shattered to pieces. Not gonna lie, this effect would have been better if it was a practical effect. Like the scene where the daughter's arm comes off, it was a practical effect. But when they just crumple up and just crackle to pieces, that was all CG'd. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think the effect would have been a lot better if it was practical. Just give it more scares that way. So yeah, his wife and daughter are dead. No! Damn you, engineer. Who the hell are you to do this? It's like, well, I've been called many names. The engineer is unique. And so, with CGI effects, he transforms into dun 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 Pinhead, the Hellraiser himself. The Hell Priest is finally back. Wow. We wasted 70 minutes without you? What the fuck, dude? Seriously. Before you say anything, I am not the murderer here. You are still looking for the killer. But I was right. You have to go home. You just went to the wrong home. He goes right through the door. Of course, Thorne has a shotgun. Click, click, boom! Shoots the door that Pinhead went through. He goes right through that door, and he's back at the old house again. It's like a revolving nightmare at this point. Well, at least the video's almost over. I should mention before he actually goes through the door back to the old house again, Pinhead actually tells him that the detective, the finger that was inside of his mouth, actually was not burned. Because throughout the entire movie, all the fingers that had fingerprints were all burned off. But, except for the one that was in the detective in his partner's mouth. All right, when they ran a match on it, it came back as Joseph Thorne. First off, he's in his late 30s, going on his early 40s right now, and the figure could be no more than what from a 12-year old. Something doesn't add up here. Right. Anyway, back to the old house. Thorne is basically seeing his family again back in the olden days, and then it turns to a nightmare scenario where their old dead selves come back to life, and he has to fight them off. He kills them with the shotgun, of course. His partner comes back, and he tries to fight them off, kills them with the shotgun. The Central Twins and the Chatterer creature, they're just watching. They're on the sidelines watching. His informant comes by, kills his informant. The hooker he spent the night with, he kills her. She comes back, he kills her. So now we have the twins and Chatterer. He moves away from them. Yeah, he gets away from them. There's a door. Click, click, click. Fuck. Ugh. And he's face to face with the killer. Only this time around, Pinhead shows up, and puts and chains him up. Yep, he finally does the Hellraiser crucifix chain. Ah! Ah! You want to find the killer, you finally found him. The killer actually rips his face off, like literally face off. It turns out that whole thing was a mask, and I don't know how the killer was able to see out of it though. And who's the killer? It's Joseph Thorne. What? So yeah, he was the killer the whole time around. Of course, that doesn't make any sense. And of course, the child's right there with just two fingers left. So the so the bad Thorn comes by. So of course, the killer Thorn kills the child, cuts a finger off, leaves it with the child, cuts the last finger off, and and goes right by Pinhead. So it's one finger left. I wonder who it goes to. I know what you're thinking. Why is all this? The child represents your inner innocence, and the killer represents the flesh of what you've become. This is your own personal hell. And then it comes back to us. If you're a fan of the franchise, you realize what had just happened. The guy's already in hell. Yeah, he's in his own personal nightmarish hell. And you just realized something. You know Brad Jones, the cinema snob? Yeah, he actually did a movie called Paranoia like back years ago, and I just realized something. The main plot point of that whole movie was that he was trying to find out who the killer was, and it turns out he was the killer the whole time too. So he was actually in hell, and the conclusion was he was in hell the whole time, but he broke out of this, but he broke the cycle and got out of hell and wants to go back home and see his wife. I haven't actually seen Paranoia particularly, but let's just say it's a movie I should probably watch, even though it's done by another internet review, done by an internet reviewer starring the cinema star himself, Brad Jones. I should definitely give that film a watch. But I need to ask. I don't think. Okay, Brad Jones. I know you don't probably watch my show, but I gotta ask. Did you get inspired by Hellraiser 5? I mean, seriously, did you? Because some of the plots in that film, Paranoia, kind of match up with this one. Just saying. I just happened to notice this. I mean, maybe I'll do a film versus on it if I ever get Paranoia on DVD or Blu-ray. Oh yeah. But anyway, so yeah, the killer actually gives Thorn the finger, and his head just splits right open. Well, at least his flesh came off, and the killer just smiles intently, like and Thorn wakes up right back where he started, where this whole nightmare started, in the bathroom. Like it was just a nightmare. Screw this, lady. I am done being an asshole. Take the money, went home. I'm gonna go live my life to the fullest. Goes to work, tries to have a good day until hello, help me, he's killing me. No, it's like wakes right back up. I'm not kidding. He literally puts his gun in his mouth and blows his brains out. But after the second he blows his brains out, he winds up right back in the freaking bathroom again, in the hotel room. He opens the door, goes right through it. He's in his old childhood room again, which is like the hub point in the whole movie of the nightmare. It dawns on him that he is now in his own personal hell. He created all these demons in his subconscious, and now he has to live with them for all eternity. The movie ends with him screaming no, cut to black, credits roll. The fucking end. And if you're wondering if all those people did die, the answer is no, only he did. Which is kind of a problem, if you ask me. Before we leave, before we click on the video, one thing that's been bothering me about this whole movie is the whole thing actually centers around the detective, but the thing is, the second he opened the puzzle box, he died. Okay, so clearly in the beginning of the movie where he meets Pinhead for the first time, it's obvious that Pinhead just killed him. All right, just killed him right there on the spot when they met the first time around. So he was already dead throughout the entire movie, and he's in his own personal hell. All right, that's the thing when it comes down to the Hellraiser franchise. When you're in hell, it's your own personal hell, and it's a continuous loop. So it's a possibility, if anything else, that what happened to all those people, all those characters, they're all still alive. All right, like the hooker's still, like obviously the call girl's still alive, the partner's still alive, the parents are still alive, the informant is still alive. Fuck, even his wife and daughter are all alive. Nobody died except for him. All right, so this whole thing was all inside of his head. It was all in his own personal hell. His ultimate hell was being unable to solve the case and unable to break the case and solve it, only to find out he was the killer the whole time around. Split personality disorder. Gotta love that shit. Oh boy. And that was Hellraiser Inferno. All right. Is it a good movie? Well, I wouldn't say it's a good movie. I mean, as a Hellraiser film, no. I mean, just no. I don't think it's a good Hellraiser movie. As a psychological horror film that starts off as a noir style, as a detective film that's on the point of horror, yeah, it's actually not that bad of a movie. I mean, if you take away the puzzle box and the Cenobites, it's like watching a psychological horror film of a detective who's actually the killer the entire time, but he has split personality disorder, and he has to fight his inner demon, which is actually the alternate side of him. All right, if the movie was like basically like that, it would have been better in my opinion, though. But the fact is that they actually tossed in Pinhead and the Cenobites and then the whole puzzle box things. Like, yeah, honestly, that's what, in my opinion, that's what this movie was originally was. It was supposed to be like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation, except they just tossed Hellraiser in the mix. That's what it really was in the end. So, in my opinion, as a horror film, the movie's okay in my opinion, but as a Hellraiser film, nope. That being said, this is gonna be my final film review for a little while. I'm gonna take a break, and I'll come back in September. Yeah, I need to take a break because I got things to do with my family, and actually, I got a question. Rex, when the hell's your next video? Oh, gonna be? You said you're gonna do 3 videos. What the hell's going on? Really, Frank? You expected me to do another video? I don't even know what the hell to do exactly. I mean, what video do you expect me to do exactly? Huh? Huh? What? Um, you could do another Gigamash video with like Godzilla or Destroya or something. Or go back to doing more of the monsters again. Hell, you could do Destroy All Humans if you could. I mean, shit, there's like several games you haven't even touched yet. So, I mean, I have several games on my PS4 here you have not touched yet. But as far as the PS2 games are concerned, you can just take the camera here and just turn it around and record them. You record yourself playing the games on the TV. All right, because I don't have a capture card for my PS2. I mean, you could do that. I'm such a freaking idiot. Games we actually have. Wow, that's actually a lot of games we have here. It's just some of the system we haven't even played yet. The idea for the PS2 sounds like a good idea. I guess you did the exact same thing for the Nintendo 64 games we have too. Oh, yeah. I got an idea. I'm gonna get some popcorn first. So I'll catch you later, Frank. Good luck with the popcorn there, pal. Good luck with the popcorn. Anyway, like I said, I'll be back next month. I have a lot of things to do, and probably gonna do a couple of projects or something, give or take. So I'm gonna take a break for a while. As for Joe, yeah, he's not coming back till next month too. We practically grounded him at this moment. Yeah, hence why you don't actually hear him in the background at the moment. So anyway, I'll see you guys next month. Until then, y'all take it easy. Also have a good Labor Day weekend, and and of course, September, have a good September 11th as well. Because I'm not going to come back until after that. So, yeah, you know what day I'm coming back. Anyway, until then, y'all take care now. If you are strike, out.